This is one of the most fabulous things that Mother Nature ever created.
Bea Schermerhorn spent most of her life along the St. Lawrence River. She feels at ease here.
Peace and tranquility.
There's something about the gentle waves and whistling winds that really make her weak inside.
Once you have got St. Lawrence River water in your veins, instead of blood, it's addictive.
While most of her memories of the St. Lawrence are good, there is one bad one. It happened on June 23, 1976, when the NEPCO 140 ran aground off of Wellesley Island. It spilled more than 300,000 gallons of crude oil into the St. Lawrence River.
And I can remember like it was yesterday, Bill stood in that window and he said, "We're done." He said, "We're finished. This is going to, this is it." Because it looked exactly like a blacktop parking lot out here. Heavy, black, number 6 oil.
Bea and her husband Bill had just built their marina. It was situated in Chippewa Bay. They figured the oil that riddled its way toward them would cripple their business for good. They could feel it in the wind.
There was a very light breeze blowing, and it was kind of offshore that morning. And Bill said, if this breeze stays in the direction that it is, we won't be affected by this. But it didn't stay in that direction. And so, with his great ingenuity, he sent a crew of men up to this parcel property here where you presently are, and to cut some trees, and he had them made into a boom.
The boom helped slow the oil down long enough for Bea and Bill to get all their customers' boats out of the water.
And we ran, anybody that could run a boat from the main marina ran boats up here, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until we got almost all of them up there, up here, from the main marina, up here. And then he closed the boom. Those boats never got a drop of oil on them.
While the boats were saved, Bea's business was not. Eventually the oil crept up and stained it, causing thousands upon thousands of dollars in damage. All in all, $15 million worth of personal damage was done to communities along the river.
Could not have people drive up from Rochester and Pennsylvania and Buffalo to this mess. So we called everybody in our cottage books. And, we gave back deposits. So that's where we took the biggest hit.
It took 8 years for Bea to reach a settlement with the oil company. Even then, the amount of money she was reimbursed didn't cover the cost of the loss she endured. Her story, like so many others, spurred the creation of a group called Save the River.
How do I zoom in?
Jennifer Caddick is the group's executive director now.
So it looks as though there's a big barge called the Salvor.
She spends most of her time monitoring the river and the ships that pass through it.
But I'd say in average, a couple of ships a day.
In the last 30 years, Save the River has blamed the Seaways 2 agencies, Canadian and American, for damaging the St. Lawrence River and the Great Lakes. Their main concern lies with the vessels that come in from the ocean. Some of them carry toxic materials, and others have invasive species on them, like zebra mussels and round gobies.
And what the impacts would be on the shipping industry.
At a conference in Cornwall, Ontario, Jennifer Caddick told representatives from the Seaway agencies how the species have damaged the ecosystems in the St. Lawrence and the Great Lakes.
So our ecosystem here is just being hammered by this influx of species after species after species, and the natural critters that are here, the fish and the algae and the other wildlife, hasn't been able to adapt and evolve to accommodate those new incoming species.
While the species are eating away at the river's ecosystem slowly, Jennifer and other Save the River members fear something worse could happen, like another spill.
At 5 o'clock this morning, it sounded like thunder.
The last time a ship ran aground or crashed was back in 2004, when the McKeel Marine slammed into Hart Island in Alexandria Bay. Luckily, it was only carrying salt and no major damage was done. When you see the ship now, you can barely recognize it. It's received a fresh coat of paint and new lettering. We were given a close-up look at the ship by Mary Pritchard, who's a lifelong resident of Grindstone Island. Over the last 50 years, Mary says the Seaway has caused nothing but problems for the folks who live along the river.
So a lot of people have given up along this border, both Canadian and American, have given up a lot to see this thing go through that benefits other people around the world, and that's wonderful. But the people from this area get no benefit from it.
They're not looking for much. In fact, most of the folks who live along the river don't want anything at all, just for the ships to go away and for the river to remain untouched. Down the road, they're hoping the Seaway Agency's businesses will decline even more, as it has over the past few years. When we return, John Fryatt will take a closer look at the future of the St. Lawrence Seaway.